Booze and boards, boards and booze. Bad guys at large, it's bad news. No beer this time, so we won't lose. We found their lair, they'll pay their dues. The town is saved, so now we booze. Booze and boards, boards and booze. With Mickey and Jeb.
What is that song with
No.
It's A Hunting We Will Go? Is that the Seven Lords?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, well, I'm not putting...
Off to work we go, they
That's
say.
it! Off to work we go. But it was A Hunting We Will Go.
Please stop. Are there any fans that enjoy watching you?
I don't know.
Okay, so he's thinking of mountain stuff because we're playing in the Hall of the Mountain King. So let's just put Jeb aside now and talk about the game.
Oh, and it's actually trolls in the game.
Yeah, not dwarves.
Not dwarves. Oh, I'm all off.
Oh, no, wait. It's not trolls.
I
Are they
thought it was
trolls?
trolls or goblins or something. Yeah, it's like troll dudes.
Those are the bad... Those are bad...
No, those are the people who are
What are we doing?
doing our work. It's trolls.
Yes, we are trolls trying to go home. Anyways, see, now you got me all confused. Alright, so anyways, Hall of the Mountain King is Burnt Island Games.
Yep. 12 plus,
2 to 5.
and 90 minutes.
It's like, can't even read it. It's kind of squished together. Anyhow, alright, so this, Jeb and I originally saw this at PAX 2 years ago.
Yep.
This current PAX, they actually had the finished product, although we just glanced at it and went, oh, that's coming. I backed it, he did not. I don't know
Did
why.
you back it, or did you sign up when we saw it at that table and we're like...
Signed up for notifications.
Oh, for notifications. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought I remember you doing something with, like, talking to the guy and be like, I'm signing up for something.
Yeah, you couldn't sign up. I don't think they'd be allowed to put you on the Kickstarter without you actually...
Well, I thought it was
clicking
like, you know how Kickstarter's in, but you can still, like, hop...
Oh, no, they hadn't done the Kickstarter yet.
yeah.
No, it was a coming to when we originally saw it.
Gotcha.
I don't remember what extras, if any, other than, I think, oh, no, I got them over here. So I've got Champions add-on, have no idea.
That was
no idea
in the box when you got it, so...
Yeah, I know, so I don't know if this was,
Right.
I don't remember if that was exclusive. And then there's a cooperative and solo mode, I'll call
Cursed
it,
Mountain.
a mini expansion for it. So, like we just said, this is basically, the gnomes have destroyed your home, but they've left
kicked you out
now
of the
or
mountain
whatever
and now
because
they're
the
gone.
mountain has collapsed on them or something to that effect, so you have to dig your way back into your home.
Oh, gnome!
Yeah. No. Oh my. Really? Why do... This is why we don't have more fans and we can't have nice things. We cannot have nice things. Okay.
But yeah, each player is going to be controlling a different clan of trolls, and your goal is to, like, dig your way into the mountain and, like, set up your temples. And
Right.
everything.
And when Jeb talks about different clans, it's just colors. There's
it is.
You don't have
Yep.
separate powers in this game.
Right.
I mean, there are spells and things, but everybody has access to them if you have the resources to spend them. So, the best, in my opinion, the best way to describe this is you basically have a starting point on the board and you're doing like a Tetris type of mechanic to build your tunnels, and how you build them and how you purchase your workers depends on how efficient that you are, because it's definitely a resource management type of game also. What would you add to that? You silly guy, you.
I was going to say, like, on the board there's also, like, resources and things like that, and then I guess, what were they, rubble squares, where you have to actually break them to be able to put stuff down.
So see where I already had said resource management? He doesn't understand what that means. So it's okay.
It was more
we can listen to him. It's fine.
It was more of, like, I know in resource management you can, like, generate resources, but this is, like, built in the board where they just start appearing once you start putting stuff on top. It's kind of like bonus resources.
Again, resource
Oh my
management
gosh.
to get the bonuses. But okay, Jeff. I mean, if you guys wonder why I make fun of him so much, it's because I can't beat him in a game, so I have to have some pleasure. And this is the way I get it. I can't help it. He doesn't defriend me, so why just keep doing it?
No, Mickey, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, good. That's where I was hoping this was going to go. So anyways, that's the gist of the game. You'll see more as we go along. So I guess at this point, oh, we didn't say creator. Does it give a creator? Yes, it does. Jay Comior and I don't know how did you say that guy's name?
Graham?
Graham?
Maybe?
Graham? Grammy? Hans?
Yeah, I think
Or
so.
Johns?
I would go with Hans, but
But it
it's
starts
not
with
my
a J.
name, so...
So again, we butcher names because we don't know what we're doing, and the art is by.
Kwanchai Moria?
There you go. Let's see, he's out. We have no idea if it's like a Asian name, but Jeb is putting a Japanese twist on the pronunciation because he
That's
likes.
all I know.
It's all he knows.
So,
Well, he knows English a little bit.
barely.
So I guess we'll come back in a minute with components, and then we'll jump into gameplay, and then we will play a 3-player game with Gary, and then we will be back with the review of the game.
Yep. Alright, so we're going to start with the components, and the first thing that is used in the game is the board.
How about them apples, Jeb, huh? Alright, so, go ahead.
I was going to say there's 2 sides to the board,
Yep.
which I think Mickey was going to say.
Yes, I was, but, I feel like I flap too much, and Jeb doesn't get to talk.
And the way to tell is there is a 3 on some of the spaces, and was the 4 on this one as well? I thought it was 3 and 4 for one side, and it's on the bigger one that's 4.
So it's 3 players,
3 play...
2 and 3, but 2 has special rules.
correct. That's
And
what
then
I'm thinking.
4 and 5 on the other side. We're going to flip this over now.
Yeah.
So
So there's the
these
third.
are really hard to see, but this is a triangle with a 3 on it. And then on the other side, I want you to pay attention to this. This is where you're playing on this side. So when you flip it over, your play area now goes almost all the way to the edge of the board, which is very significant aspect to the game. And there's Jeb's 4 and 5,
Yep.
where he's talking about.
And then other things on the board that we should probably point out, statue spots. They're just...
They have little pictures of... It's a statue. It's a weird-looking statue, but it's a statue.
workshop tiles.
That's with the little X and a gear in it.
Rubble spaces.
Rubble spaces are the ones that look like they have like stone, looks like they're like cobblestone in them.
Heart of the mountain.
Right in the center.
Buried resources.
Okay, all the others, most of the other things that you're going to see is some kind of like Hearthstone. This dark one is like ore. I think it's called ore. Iron, sorry, iron. And then the gray one's stone, and you can find hammers, old tools, and stuff like that. But anyways, pretty much everything else that I think Jeb covered is a resource.
Yep.
That you
And
can,
then the last 2 things are the pedestal track, which is over on the side there,
this pedestal track.
and the score track.
And the score track is around, like a lot of other games, around the outside of the board. So
And-
that's the board.
Yeah, and then the other, I guess one thing to notice
yes.
is how the colors are in different layers. They are actually associated to the pedestal track and then in the game itself.
Yeah, and that's a very important feature, the levels of the mountain.
Yep. So that's everything you need to know for the game board. So let's start looking at the other components. So
Okay, what are we starting with, Jeb?
We'll just pull them out tray by tray.
All right, let's start with this stuff then.
Try to pick this
You
up.
can you take that off?
Can't do it with one hand.
I can't fold a map. There it goes. I haven't ripped it yet. Pretty good. Alright, start with the resource tray. And notice the trays, aren't they nice?
Yep, very nice.
Okay.
Alright, so you've got stone, iron, and hearthstone. Or heartstone, not hearthstone. And those are considered minerals.
Yeah.
The other resources are carts,
hammers.
Hammers look like little tomahawk axes.
Caveman hammers. Runes. And coins.
Nice metal coins in this game. Nice hefty.
Well, that's the thing. These are Kickstarter, right?
Yes, but I said nice metal coins.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying, what I wanted to point out was that...
You don't get those?
These are Kickstarter, and if you get regular, you're not getting the fancy-looking stuff. So.
Alright, so that's all the... just as a side note, these three, the stone, the iron, and the hearthstone, are minerals, but everything is considered a resource. So if you're... There are mechanics that let you trade resources, and literally the trading mechanic, unless otherwise specified, a resource can be traded for a resource. So it doesn't necessarily have to be mineral from mineral, but minerals out of themselves are kind of important. And we'll come across that again, but just
showing you the components.
Just reiterating stuff that's important.
Yep. Alright, next up are the different tunnel tiles and also great halls.
Yes.
So let's start with the tunnel.
Yep, go ahead.
We'll start with the tunnel tiles. There's different sizes, and the sizes are broken down by the number of spaces on each tile. So the smallest is 2, then there's 3, and then there's 4, and 5. And can you pull one of those out and show the people that there is a hole in some of them?
Only the 5s don't have a hole, and everything else has a hole.
And that will be used, we'll explain that later on, just want to let you know there's a hole in some of them. Next, great halls. And
all kinds of different sizes.
Yep.
So, and it goes down to a pretty small one. I'm not going to take them all out because there's no need to.
Alright. So that's everything with those tiles. And then we'll grab...
Can you see this if I don't pull that out?
Yep.
Alright.
We'll put it right there.
Okay.
And they should see it all.
Okay.
So we will start with the player mats.
These are the player mats?
There are 5 of them, and there's different colors for each player. Do you want to tell them what's on it or not yet?
That's up to you. I mean, you've got...
Yeah, it's not too bad.
This is where your cards are going to build they're going to build a pyramid, basically. You'll see what I mean later on. This is how you score statues that you can get throughout the game. And this is how many points you score depending on what mineral you used and how big of a tunnel you built.
Yep, the center area is your storage.
Yep.
And then above... on the left side is actually a quick summary of a turn, so you actually...
Yeah, it's really... I mean, that's how simple it is, and that's literally all you need is what's on here.
Alright, next up are spell cards.
Spell cards are right here. They're the big cards.
Those 2 are not spell cards. Those are team storage cards, which are only used for team mode.
So
but those are the...
all kinds of different spells. And at least in a 3-person game, you're not probably going to go through all of them, so it leaves a nice variety in the game.
Alright, let's do some cards. So let's do player starting cards.
They're down there.
Yep, they can see all 5 of them.
So these are the player starting cards. And it's significant to note that only the starter cards have these 2 different levels, because the bottom is going to be a one-time starting material, and then the top, if you're familiar with worker placement / resource things, this is not a worker placement so much, it's a tunnel placement. But anyhow, that's what you're going to be able to produce for the rest of the game, is what's on top.
And underneath them are your player score marker and your... what is that called? Your gate tile.
Yep, so that's your starting point, is what the gate tile is.
Yep. Alright, the other cards are on the back have 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, and that's just during setup, the row that they're going to go in, but these are also trolls.
Yep.
And they look the same, except for now they don't have the bottom line, and they just show you what they produce each time. And as you can see, this is these are 1s, so if I pick like a 3, Are these the 3s? Am I grabbing 3s?
2s.
I'm going to grab 3s. So as you get to a 3, look how much more they produce.
And then also on them, in the middle of it, there's like these lines. So this has 3 lines, and then there's a symbol which will help with when they come out onto the into the game.
The lines just represent the level.
Right.
So that's a nice way to know what level you have going on there.
All right. So let's show them the statues and the pedestals.
Statues look like statues.
There's 3 different types.
And pedestals look like pedestals, matching the 3 different types.
Yep. All right. Then there are the workshop tiles.
There's a bunch of different ones, and you don't play with all of these every game. So another thing that keeps the game interesting. They have little abilities on them. So, and this is what the back looks like. The same symbol that's on the board. So that's workshops.
All right. The coronation tokens. There's only 2 of them, and they're big circles.
These are victory points, basically.
Yep.
So the first person that meets the requirement gets the 5, and the second person that meets the requirement gets the 3. In a 2-player game, only the 3's out.
Pedestal reminder tokens.
That's these.
There's only 3 of them.
Yep, because they only go on level 3 trolls.
And then pedestal point tokens.
And that's these little guys here. And they go, if you remember, Jeb pointed out the pedestal track to you, those are going to go on that track on the game board.
There is the crown, which indicates first player. That corner.
You weren't going to help me out, were you?
Well, I was like, I thought you just pulled stuff from that corner.
I did, but I thought it was still over there. So that's first player token.
All right, and then there is a draw bag.
Can't you say this goes in a certain way?
Yeah, the tallest part needs to be pointed in the corner.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then the draw bag.
And then the draw bag, because the pedestals are going to go in here.
And that's all the components for
Yeah,
the game.
that's
Oh, well, I guess if you got the Champions expansion, there's...
Champions expansion.
And then there's
There's a side expansion.
Cursed Mountain expansion.
This is solo and co-op play.
Yep.
Well, let me put it right side up for you guys. Alright.
That's it for components. Alright, so for setup, it can be broken down into general setup and player setup. So we're going to start with the general stuff first. The first thing you'll do is place the game board in the center of the table, depending on the player count.
We're going to be playing with 3, so we're going to show you the 3-player side.
Yep. You will create a supply of resources beside the board. So
which we're going to leave in the tray. Yep.
Then you will create the tunnel supply, which
we're going to leave in the tray.
You actually have a great hall, or you can either display the great halls next to the board, or in the tray they have it so you can set it up vertically.
Yeah, which is kind of nice.
Whichever you prefer doing. Next you are going to create the horde, which we should probably move the board for that one just so we can show them how the...
We're going to slide this over so it'll be off a little bit, and I'm going to create the horde.
Alright, so you will have 3 different decks with the numbers on the back. So there's 1, 2, and 3. You are going to shuffle each of these, and the first thing you're going to do...
Can you see?
Yep.
Okay.
First thing you do is draw 5 level 1 trolls. And then just keep the 1 deck next to those.
Yep.
Then you will do 4 level 2 trolls, and you want to put them above the 2 below them.
Right.
Between.
So you're making a pyramid.
Yep. And then, if you've ever built a pyramid before, the next one is going to be 3 level 3s.
But we don't finish the pyramid.
Correct. It's a chopped off pyramid.
Yeah. And that is you've made the horde.
Yep. Next, you are going to place the pedestals in the bag and mix them. So, grab your bag, grab your pedestals, and
put them in. Whee! Whee!
Alright, I'll give you the bag.
Making sure none of them fell over.
Okay, you are going to mix them around and randomly draw 4 and place them on the level 2 trolls. 1.
And there's a little spot that says put the pedestal here in the middle of the lines. Okay.
Then you are going to take the 3 the pedestal reminder tokens and place them on the level 3 trolls. Alright, so that's everything with that. So the next thing is going to stack the 2 coronation tokens near the horde. Place the 5 on top of the 3. Then you... Oh, alright. Shuffle the workshop tiles face down, then reveal 2 per player plus 1.
Okay.
So
this is all of them. Jeb's going to mess my nice little pyramid up.
Well, you don't need to use them anymore right now, so...
And again, he's messing my pyramid up.
You just worry about the workshop tile shuffling.
So take all the workshops, put them out, face down. Mix, 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 mix.
Yep. Then you are going to reveal 2 per player plus 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I did
For a 3-player game, it's 6 plus 1.
7.
Alright, and then, important, take the face down ones, put them back in the box without looking at them. I don't think that really matters if you played the game before.
Yeah, if you can memorize all this, you'd play this game a lot.
Alright, next you are going to create the shuffled face down deck of spell cards. So that one, you will take the spell cards, give them a quick shuffle.
Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle.
Set it face down.
Set it face down.
And reveal 3 of them. These workshop tiles will just be kept by the board. These are your spell book. Next, you are going to place statues on the statue spots of the board in a certain order. So what's going to happen is you randomly pick fire, ice, or what's the other one? Moon. And you place them on one. Place it on one random.
So we're going to
spot.
say. So here's a statue. That's the one I'm going to start with right there.
Yep. So whichever random one. All right, and then going clockwise, you place another random one next to it, and then now you will continue around the board clockwise, alternating, so that they're
make the same pattern
all the way around.
And so from your guys' standpoint, this is clockwise, so the next one would be white, and then blue,
And then orange.
and then orange, and then white, and then blue, and then orange, and you get the picture all the way around the board until all the things are filled.
Yep. And the last one would be there.
Right.
So.
I'll leave those up for now.
Alright, mix the pedestal point tokens face down, and then randomly distribute them face up onto the pedestal track. So the pedestal track is up at the top of the board, the way we have it orientated.
Yeah.
So
these are the tokens they're talking about. So I have them face down. It's shuffle, 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 so they're all mixed up and I don't know what they are. And then I start flipping them face up and putting them on these spots all the way across. And I know Jeb pointed out the track, but if you didn't notice on the track, they are separated all the element things into 3, repeating into 3 different sections, which represent the sections of the mountain. That's why they are different colors. And it works its way from the outer level of the mountain inward. And there are no extra pedestal tracker tokens, so this is literally, there's like...
don't lose them.
I mean, it always, yeah, don't lose them because there are no extra. But this isn't one of the mechanics where you have leftover, put them back in the box. The randomization of this is because every time you put it out, stuff's going to be worth a different amount of money. So, real quick, what I was talking about. This is dark gray, so that represents all of this outer rim. But all the way up here is this bright orange, which represents just these squares right here. So, that's what I meant by that.
Alright, so that's it for general setup. So next we're going to start with the player setup, and this kind of uses the board as well as your personal play area. So I'm going to move these spells out of your way. Okay. I think that'll be enough room for you to build your
character. So remember that we're consolidating so you guys can see you're actually going to have a play area. This will look a little bit, this isn't going to be all crunched together. Watch, you skip ahead to the very beginning of gameplay, see how we set up our game area. You don't have to do it like us, but you'll get an idea of how everybody does their own thing.
Yep. Alright, so the first thing, choose a starting player and give them the crown.
Alright, so starting, we're going to say the example that we're doing is the starting player. Here's the crown, set it by him.
Alright, each player is going to choose a color. They are going to take the player mat of that color.
And I just grabbed this lightish greenish gray color, so this is the one I'm going to show you.
You want to flip it upside down so they can... Well,
oh, I see what you mean. Sorry.
Orientated so it looks
actually, they're exactly the same. Oh, nice. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. After you give the player mat, you also need 6 starting troll cards of the matching color. And then the gate tile and score marker of that color. Alright, so everybody will have that right now. Anything unused goes back to the box. All players are going to put their score markers on the 0 spot, which is actually off the camera.
Great. Okay, so the 0's in a corner and it's way over here, so this guy gets put on the 0.
Yep. That's for each player. Alright, starting with the starting player and proceeding clockwise, each player will place their gate tile on a start point of their choice marked with the player count. So if it's a 3-player game, look on the board for where the 3s are.
There's a 3.
There's a 3.
There's a 3 over here, which I don't know if you can see my finger. Probably not.
Yeah, they can.
Okay, and that's all your 3s, so that's, that's it.
Yep, so there's 2 ways to do it. You can have the starting player pick it and then in clockwise place them, or you can just place them closest to where you're sitting.
I thought technically it was wherever you wanted. Is it clockwise?
Beginning with the... Oh no, it's beginning with the starting player and proceeding clockwise. Each player places their gate on a place.
Ice place. So technically it's wherever you want in turn order.
Yes, wherever you want to go in turn
order. So we just played closest because it's our first game.
And we don't like reaching across the table.
Right, exactly. But strategically, if you know what you're trying to do, it could make a difference. So it's important to know that you can place it. So
they did say in the book that they tried to balance it so it doesn't matter where you start. But
yeah, and that kind of makes sense. But anyhow, so here's a 3. So I'm going to put my gateway or whatever they're called on there. So there's my starting point.
And then the other 2 players would place on the other 2 because it's a 3-player game.
Yep. In a 2-player game, I think they do tell you to start opposite. I'm not positive on that, though. Honestly don't know, so I shouldn't have even said that. Cut me out, Jeb.
In a 2-player game, use any 2 matching numbered start points you want. The closer your gates are, the more conflict you'll have.
So you can still do it anyway, but...
Just expect a fight.
Right.
Alright, so once everybody's placed those, you are going to create your troll smoot. So each player is going to take their 6-card deck and shuffle it.
Shuffle.
Then they are going to draw 2 cards. Alright, they have to decide which card they are going to place above their player board.
I want this one because it looks like a lot of stuff.
Alright, so you can place it in any 4 of those spots.
Yep.
You are going to keep that other card you didn't choose in your hand, draw a new card, and now decide between those 2 which one you want to keep.
Oh, this has a shiny little jewel on it.
Alright, Mickey likes shiny stuff. Then you'll repeat the process until you have 4 cards in front of you.
I want to hit Jeb with a hammer.
Of course.
And then for the last one...
Take Jeb's money.
Ooh, money generation. Sometimes that's good.
Alright, so stop.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so once everybody has the 4 cards placed above their player board, they are going to collect their starting resources. So, Mickey, what are your starting resources?
The bottom lines here. There's a little dotted line, and everything on the bottom is... You manhandle that thing. Oh my gosh, dude.
I only dropped 1.
Sheesh. What is it? What is it, a bull in a china shop?
Yes.
Alright, so I get 2 stones.
So, Mickey will take 2 stone from the supply and place it on his storage.
I get a hammer.
Hammer time.
I get a ruin.
Ruin time.
And I get an iron.
Ironing time.
Oh my gosh.
Alright, so he places all of those on there, and now he's going to slide his player board up to cover those spots.
Or the card under.
Yeah, either way. Perspective. Alright, so those starting resources are hidden, and you'll never need to see that part of the card again. Okay, so when all players do that, now you're going to go in turn order and see if you get any extra starting resources. So, Mickey is first player. Guess what? First player doesn't get any bonus.
Anything.
Second player, however, and third player will look at the card in their hand.
The one I'm holding.
Yep, and they get that as a bonus.
So if I was second player, I would also get this coin.
Yep, it's the starting resource, not the generator.
Right, not this one, the starting one.
Yep, so player 2 and 3 will get that from their hand. If you're 4 or 5, you get to look at the other card in your deck, and you get both of those starting resources.
Right. So if I'm player 4 or 5, I get the coin and the 2 stones.
Yep,
okay.
And you would just put them in your
and then
supply.
these are done.
Yep, all of those 2 extra cards will get returned to the box for everyone.
Okay.
And now you're ready to begin the game. Alright, so for gameplay, the game starts with the starting player and plays in turns, going clockwise until the game ends. Alright, so let's talk about what you do on your turn. So there's 4 things that happen on your turn, and they have it listed on your player mat of what you can do. So we'll talk about it. The first thing is spells and workshops. So you may cast 1 spell, and you may activate 1 workshop.
And you may activate a workshop. So that's important to note that it's both, but you don't have to do either.
Right.
So
there are some requirements, though.
Yep.
So for spells, you have to put 1 rune on top of a spell card to be able to activate it.
So again, the runes are the little jewel-looking things. So in order, you must own 1, and then you have to place 1 for you to be able to use it.
Yep. And one thing to note is that you can place it from your storage or from a troll in your
right. That is a key concept to the game. When you acquire resources, they will go to the troll, which we will show you, but everything that you possess, whether it's in your supply or on a troll, is usable by you.
Yep. So for casting a spell, you will take the rune like Mickey did and place it on one of the 3 spell cards, and you will read what the spell does and do it.
I'll read one for an example. The Golden Mask. If you recruit a level 2 or a level 3 troll this turn, use any mix of resources as bribes instead of just coins.
Wow, that's actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so Mickey would place the rune on top of that, and then as he read the effect, later on, if he did that, he would get the bonus. One thing to note is that if the 3rd rune is placed on a spell, that means the spell disintegrates, so the card gets discarded, and you will replace it with the next card in the spell deck.
Yep, so if 3 gems are on here, boom, and a new one comes out, and it's ready to go.
And when the third gem is placed, you still activate the card. It's not like you don't get the activation. I don't know if people
would
confuse
think that. Yeah, that would be silly.
All right.
Who would ever pay for the last one if they didn't get to use it?
Exactly. Okay, and then the other thing is activating a workshop, and we can't really talk about that in the beginning of the game because you have no tunnels that are connected to workshops because there's no workshops on the board.
But real quick, before we'll show you at some point, once a tunnel is connected to one of these spaces that's a workshop space, there'll be a workshop, and then you'll be able to use it. Jeb's going to give me a piece of a tunnel so I can show you. So if that is laying right there, then this side is open to the workshop. There would be a workshop here, and then I would be one of my first, on the first part of my turn, I would choose to use that if I wanted to.
Okay. There is a requirement, though. How many times can you use that workshop?
One time per number of openings on the workshop. So an opening is defined as if a tunnel touches one of the sides, not a corner, a side. So this one only has one opening. If there was a tunnel down here touching this side, then there'd be two openings. If it was surrounded, then it would be all of them. And another important note is that if you have a tunnel that you control touching it, you can use all the openings for that that ability. Meaning, so if this was me, and then can I have a two spot? And for some reason Jeb was able to come all the way over here and put one down here. When I use this workshop, I could do it twice. And when Jeb uses this workshop, he could use it twice. Doesn't matter who owns the opening, so to speak. All that matters is that it's open.
And no one ever owns workshops.
Right. I just meant...
Well, no, I'm just clarifying for them.
Yeah.
All right. And then a key thing about workshops, each of them has their own ability, which is a lot of exchanging something for something else. One thing to keep in mind is when you do that exchange, you can take from your supply or your troll smoot, and then whatever you exchange for gets placed into your supply, your storage.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. So if I take something off of here to do the exchange, meaning off of a troll to do an exchange, I put it back in the supply and I take from the supply. And I put it in my supply. So nothing ever goes back to the troll. Did I say it wrong?
It's easy to use supply and storage.
Oh.
It's if you take from your troll or your storage, that item goes into the supply,
right.
And then you take out of the supply the item you get and put it in your store.
Fair enough.
I was doing the same thing.
No, said way better. All right, 3 different things that you'll see on the workshops. One like this, where it's arrows going both ways, and that literally means that the one item can be swapped for the other item and vice versa.
Yep.
The second one would be an arrow going just one way, so that means that's the only exchange that happens. In this particular case, it's 2 coins for a cart. It's not, you can't do a cart and get 2 coins.
Right.
And then the last one is a take something from one of your trolls and put it into your storage. And those are the only 3 combinations. It's a they're either swap ones or putting it into your storage.
Alright, so that's the first thing you can do on your turn. And to recap, use a spell and use workshop. That's what you can do as the first thing. So Mickey, what's the second thing you can do?
Okay, the second thing I can do, this is the only thing on your turn that is required. I must either build a tunnel or I must recruit a troll.
Let's start with recruit trolls.
Okay, so this is where you take a look at the horde, and you decide who would I like to have in my troll smoot. So, what you need to know about that, though, is that level 1, you can just take for free.
Oh, nice.
Level 2, you have to pay for, and level 3, you have to pay for. How?
Pay for what?
How do you pay for those, Jeb?
Well, that's where this little thing called money comes into play. So if you have money in your storage or on your trolls, you can use it. So the first thing you're going to do is choose the troll you want to recruit.
Alright, so you already know these are free, so those are easy. You would just take one.
Yep.
So let's just move it up a notch and say I wanted to recruit a level 2 troll. And to make things simple so I don't have to reach in the center of the pyramid, I'm going to say I want this guy. Now, how do I get that guy? I have to pay for every troll. I have to bribe every troll that is directly underneath him.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 2 trolls directly underneath him. Notice he's not connected to his card.
And that's the whole pyramid shape.
Right.
The reason why it's
right.
built
That's
like
why it's built like that. So I give him a bribe and him a bribe, and they go, oh, okay, we'll look the other way, and you can go recruit that guy.
Yep.
So I take whatever on him. In this case, a pedestal. That will go into my storage. And then I take this troll, and then I decide where to put it in the pyramid that I am. And this is important because I get to place him. Do they need to know anything else before I place him?
Yes, before placing, it's a total stickler rule thing. Once you take that and put the stuff you collected off of him, you're going to refill where he was at from the same deck. And then in the case of the second row, he needs a pedestal. So you're going to take the pedestal bag and randomly grab a pedestal out and place it on top of that new guy. Mm-hmm. And then I think it says in the book if any of the decks are actually empty, you would take from the deck above to refill. But that hasn't happened.
Or in the weird case that the middle one or the top one ran out, which is highly unlikely, you would actually take from the lower one and refill it.
So, that's the only thing that you need to do before placing.
Alright, now placing's important because once you place a troll, this is how you generate resources in the game. So I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to be like, I want extra money this time. So I'm going to place him here. Alright, so at this point, is it called producing, generating? I don't know what they call it.
Add to the troll smoot and trigger a cascade.
Trigger a cascade. So at this point, I'm going to gain all the resources from all the trolls, from the troll I just placed, and kind of similar to the bribes, anything under it. So I get the iron, the coin, and a cart.
From the supply.
And they go directly on the troll. They do not go to your storage.
Yep.
Cover the symbols. Now I get below him a iron and a coin. And that ends the purchase of a troll.
Yep. There's one thing that's very important in this step. If Mickey, before he made that purchase, for some reason, that was on that troll, and he places the troll
on it,
he generates everything that does not already have that resource on it.
I do not get another one of these. It's full. He can't hold anymore.
Right. So keep that in mind because that's kind of
it's a key, huge key in this game. Yep. I'd also, just in case you're not 100% following the bribes, I'm going to show you buying a third level.
No, you can leave those.
I just want to do it all over again, Jeff.
Oh, I was going to say leave them and then pick one up so you can have multiple on them.
Ah, I got you. So give me more coins.
Yeah, that's what the money man's for.
Alright, that's funny. Okay, now I want this guy. Okay? So now, again, I have to bribe...
This is just hypothetical.
Yes. Yeah. This is all hypothetical. So we're showing you how to purchase. Right. We would never have this much money in the beginning of the game.
And, well, I mean, you already purchased one. It's not like you can purchase two.
You can't purchase two. That's correct. I got you. All right. So I gotta this guy here, I have to bribe everyone below him. So the first two below him are these guys. Okay, bribed. Excellent. But the two under this guy and the two under this guy. So I have to pay all three of those guys. Now, you don't have to spend it. You don't have to double this guy because he connects to two. You just have to pay everybody once. Let you come up the line. So I kind of did it backwards. You would start from the bottom row, bribe these guys, and now I can take these guys. And the pedestal function used a little different. So this has the pedestal reminder. So I'm going to take the troll and everything on him, which is just a reminder. How does a reminder work, Jeb?
The reminder lets you look into the pedestal bag and pick whichever one remaining that you want.
Yep, any color that's left in the bag.
So early in the game, you get your choice of all three, but later on, maybe something's ran out. Yep. So it's not like you can get anything anytime. It's whatever one of the ones from the remaining.
Right. All right. I would do the placement the same. It would do a cascade as the same, etc., etc. All right, so...
Another key thing is once you have 10 trolls in your troll smoot, you cannot take this action.
That's correct. So once you've done a full pyramid, and that's you're starting the end game once the first person does that. Not total end game, but you're getting close. All right, so let's say this is the game state right now. It's Jeb's turn to buy a troll, and all he wants is a level 1 troll.
Oh, this guy is pretty nice. I can get a rune and a moon cart. So I don't have to pay for this guy. He's level 1, so I just take him, and look at that. I get 2 coins from him.
Yes, you do.
So I'd put him in my troll smoot, and bam, he gets replaced with just a regular dude. So
okay. And I think last but not least, and Jeb will correct me if I'm wrong, because that's his job, what happens, Jeb, if after the bribe, this troll looks like this?
Oh, that is a rich, fat, happy troll.
Yeah, he is.
He is ready to go to the Bahamas.
Yes, he is.
So he retires.
Yes, he does.
So when a troll has 4 coins on him, he automatically gets taken out and replaced. And goodbye, all sweet money. That is going to drinks on the beach.
Yep, that's going back into the supply.
Yep.
Hey, and I think that covers the horde, and hopefully you guys understood this. But I mean, basically, as you go along, eventually you're going to look like this, and hopefully by the end of the game you have a full pyramid.
Yep.
Okay.
And each time once placed, you're generating resources.
Right.
So.
And remember, you can't say it enough. I mean, I think you get it as soon as you play. But remember, when you generate, if there's something on the troll, and we keep saying that
in the middle right now.
We keep saying that because one of the key things to playing this game is removing stuff off your troll to get ready to produce again.
Yeah. So if Mickey placed that middle one there, he wouldn't place on the iron because
I get nothing. Same thing as before.
Yeah.
So I would probably slide him here so I got everything.
Exactly.
Because you get to choose. It's not like I have to do it in order. So I would do this. Hopefully I've been dwindling away at this and dwindled before I put something in the middle.
Yep.
So, yep.
All right. So that's everything for picking a troll for that action. If you decide not to pick a troll, the other thing, like Mickey said, was
building a tunnel. And remember, this is the other option you have of the required action in your turn. Okay.
All right.
So, how to build a tunnel. So,
all right. So on your player card, there's actually a grid that explains a lot of how tunnels are scored and the different shapes as well.
So let's go over that real quick. So, for instance, level, the first line has a 2-section tunnel. The next line has a 3-section tunnel. The next line has a 4-section tunnel. And the last line has a 5-section tunnel. And then across the top it tells you how many victory points you score based on size of tunnel and what you used to build the tunnel, meaning the cost. The cost of tunnels is always a mineral, which you have the stone and the iron and the hardstone. And as you can see, level 2 tunnels, you get nothing for any of them. But if you use stone for a 3-part tunnel, you get 3. If you use iron, you get 4. If you use hearthstone, you get 5. So hearthstone is the most what's the word I'm looking for?
Expensive?
No, it's not expensive. It's
rare?
It
Prestigious? Special? Fancy?
Hearthstone gains you the most victory points, is what I was trying to say. Jeb goes through all the fancy words. Didn't really mean anything that I wanted it to. And Hearthstone being one of the harder ones to acquire throughout the game. So stone is
it's kind of
readily available. Yeah. You don't get as many victory points, but you still get the tunnel. And as you can see, the bigger the tunnel you can build with the more expensive resources, or however you want to say it, yield you the most victory points. Like, so on the level 5, I'll call them level 5, even though they're 5-section tunnels, stone would generate 5 victory points, iron would generate you 8 victory points, and the hearthstone would generate you 11 victory points, which are scored immediately after you build the tunnel. So for instance, let's pretend this is my state of my troll smoot right now, and I have 3 irons. That's going to actually get me victory points, so I'm going to say to myself, let's build a 3-section tunnel.
Alright, so first thing you do is
pay for it.
Yep.
I'm going to pay for take these 2 off the trolls, and then take the 1 out of the supply. I'll put, my storage, give that to Jeb to put in the supply. Take a 3-section tunnel, because this is the only shape a 3 comes in. And then I can...
I was going to say, currently, at the beginning of the game, Mickey's network consists of only his gate. So you can only add on to your network.
Right. So since my network right now is only my gate, I am going to pick a spot and place it. So I'm going to place it here, Jeb, because this does a lot of stuff placing it in these. All so right. What happens with the stuff that I just covered up? Because I covered up a picture of stone, picture of iron, and I want to overlay on this statue right here.
Alright, so any resources you cover with a tunnel, you gain them automatically. And then for statues, they get unearthed, which means you lift them up, place the tunnel down, and then put the statue back where it was. So what was it? You got a rock?
I covered up a stone and an iron, and I uncovered a statue.
Alright, so the stone and iron will go into his storage.
And I immediately score iron victory points on a 3-section tunnel, so that would be 4. So on the victory point track, I'd move my guy up 4. You can't see him, but I moved him up 4.
Yep. Alright, another thing to check when you're doing that is if you place it over rubble tiles, you will have to spend a hammer for each rubble tile placed over. So Mickey currently doesn't have any hammers.
Yes, I do.
Where?
Right here.
Oh, he does.
So if I were to place this tunnel and a section of it covered this, only way I can place the tunnel is to spend this along with the required minerals to build the tunnel. Yep. Notice that there gets a lot of rubble up in here.
Yeah. Alright, so Mickey has resolved anything underneath the tunnel. He's placed the tunnel, he's got victory points. What's that circle for?
Oh, there's a circle, Jeb. The circle means that if I have in my possession a pedestal, I can put it on there. And
can you do this later in the game?
No, you must do this when you build the tunnel. So if I choose not to put a pedestal, or if I don't have a pedestal, that circle, you just pretend the circle's not there.
Yep.
Okay?
But no, I see you have a pedestal.
I have a pedestal, Jeb. I am going to put the pedestal there.
Alright, and what happens when you put the pedestal there?
I
Look
look
at
the pedestal track.
Yep.
Look to see what area the pedestal's in. This pedestal is in dark gray. I come over here to see if dark gray ice has been taken yet, and it hasn't. So I get this victory point. I put it upside down so you don't remember what I took.
That wasn't a 1, was it?
No,
I can't
it was
remember.
not. And so that's mine until the end of the game scoring. I don't score that immediately. I just put it down for later.
Does that cause any kind of limitation for other players?
Yeah, because you can't score. I don't even know if you can build. Are you allowed to build it? You just can't score it, right?
No, you can't even put a pedestal.
Yeah, you can't put a pedestal on that, a blue pedestal on the dark gray level anymore.
Yep, and that works with all the other pedestals and the different levels.
Yep.
Once that pedestal score token has been taken off, no one can do that again.
And then just in case, one more time, just in case it wasn't clear, we were showing you the two things that they're required, but you only do one of them. So you either do the buy a troll or you do the build a tunnel. You don't do both, but this is step 2 of your turn.
Yep. And then one other thing about building tunnels, which we'll just do a quick 2-1 to show an example. If Mickey built a tunnel from his gate and it touched a workshop,
boom. Say I built that one there.
The second you place, or once you resolve all that stuff, you will then check around your tunnel that you just built to see if there's any workshops that are now opened up. And in this case,
I opened up a workshop.
So he gets to look at all the available workshop tiles from the beginning of the game and choose which workshop he wants to put there.
I'm taking this move resource one and putting it right there.
So he can't use it this turn because that phase has already passed.
That's step 1.
Yep.
And we're in step 2.
Yep. So, but that is now available for him from now on.
Yep.
And I think that's everything for placing the tunnel because he scored the honor, right?
Yep. Again, just as reminders, if you place on top of resources, you get the resources. If anything has a rubble mark, you need a hammer for each one that you cover. So if I was up in this area and I did a long line right across right here, I would need 4 hammers if I tried to cover all of those. So you need one for each one, and remember the unburying a statue, and also remember about if you place a tunnel and it has the cutout hole in it, that is the only time you are allowed to place your pedestal. And don't forget to score the pedestal and make sure that you can actually do it.
Alright, so once you've resolved all the stuff for the tunnel that you placed, you'll now move to the next step, which is dedicating a Great Hall. And as we've shown before, the Great Halls come in certain sizes. Mickey, right now, would a Great Hall cover any of those?
No.
So there's no possible way to dedicate it. However, if Mickey had built that earlier and connected it to the 2-piece one to make it 2x2, so if Mickey placed that on his turn and he scored it, and now it's dedicating time, he could right now dedicate the 2x2 Great Hall.
And literally all you do, match the size and put it on. Some key notes, like if I had something like I can't put it there because that leaves an empty spot. Mm-hmm. So you have to cover it exactly the shape of the hall. And can you pass me those, Jim?
These?
Yeah. They're all unique. Nothing is the same size, and they get bigger as they go along. So nobody else is going to be able to do a 2x2. Yep. Just so you know, it's a strategy. There's scoring points, which I don't know when Jeb plans on talking about those, but there you go.
And another thing is you cannot place Great Halls on top of workshops or your
entrance, right?
Your entrance. Yep.
Some other key things about laying tunnels is that once the board starts to get a little more crowded, A tunnel cannot lay adjacent to somebody else's tunnel. Adjacency in the game is a straight side. So if I have a piece here, Jeb worked all the way over to here. This is Jeb's tunnel. That's not adjacent yet. But Jeb could not do that.
Because that would connect two tunnels.
Right.
And that's not allowed.
You can't do that. All right. So, like, this piece of tunnel is not adjacent to my entrance. Because it's just a corner. Straight sides only. Alright, so keep that in mind when you're laying, is that once the board starts to get a little more crowded, you cannot lay adjacent to another tunnel. That's not in your network.
Alright, so if you want to put that Great Hall back on. So in the Great Hall there is an altar space, which Mickey's pointing out. What does that look like? It's a circle with
the three colors of the statues.
All right. So that is a space for a statue to be placed on. If you do that, then later in the game, that Great Hall is worth more points. Currently, if you look on each of the Great Halls, there's two numbers divided by a line. It's upside down to the viewers, but that one is a 0 and a 5. So at the end of the game, it's worth 0 points if he does not have a statue on the altar, and if he does at the end of the game, it's worth 5 points.
Right. Now you might be saying, how do you get statues there, Jeb?
Yep, because after the Great Hall dedication step, the last step of your turn is moving statues.
All right. Let's fast forward a little bit and put a couple other tunnel pieces down so we can. And these are just. This is totally random. So he's been uncovered. So that's what let's pretend that's what my board looks like right now.
Alright, so moving statues.
This is actually really good. I didn't even mean to do it.
To move a statue, you need to spend carts of either that specific statue's type or wild cards.
Okay.
On the trolls, if you notice, there's like a cart that has the orange background, one with a blue, one with a white. Those are specific to, fire, ice, and moon. And then, where's the example? On here, if you ever see a cart with a swirly, that means wild cart.
Yeah.
Also, any carts in your storage are wild carts, and wild carts can be used to move any statue.
So, what that means, in order to move this statue, I need a wild, or I need a troll that has a white cart symbol on it, right? Like that's a white cart symbol.
Yep.
Okay.
Like currently in Mickey's Troll Smoot, he only has fire carts.
So I can move fire with this one.
But do you have a fire?
I don't even have a fire in my organization.
And you can only move
one tunnel section per cart.
Well, I was going to say
right?
You can only move
go
statues in your network.
Yes.
So
unless otherwise instructed by a special spell.
Right. And you can't move unearthed statues.
Unless instructed by a spell.
Yes. All right. So let's say Mickey wants to move. What do you want to move and to where?
All right. So the other thing about statues is having them on. Over here is victory points for unearthed, like literally just unearthed statues. But top is unearthed statues. The bottom of this victory point track is statues on their appropriate pedestal.
Yep. So you get more points if it's on a pedestal.
Exactly. And the points matter for what level of the mountain that you actually do this. So since we're just talking about mechanics, we're not going to worry about strategy. We're just going to show you how this works. So right now, I have an altar open that could take a statue, and I have a blue pedestal. Well, I was
going to say, how many statues do you have?
I have two statues. I have a white statue and a blue statue. So I could put. I know that I get more points if I put this blue one on this blue pedestal.
And you can't mix pedestal colors with the statues. So
and I would get. This guy doesn't give me any points right now unless I get a statue on him, and the white one's right there.
Yep. So it sounds like you want to move some statues.
I do. I do, man. All right. So how do you move them?
All right. So you need to spend a cart for each tunnel space to move that statue to wherever you're going.
Right.
So
a tunnel space literally means the tunnel itself. That is 1. Your home base is 1.
Great Hall
this
count
is
is
1. Great Hall is 1.
If you noticed, when we placed this Great Hall, we broke this 3-1 up into a single one. This counts as its own tunnel space.
Yes, it does.
So keep that in mind as well.
So if you followed all that to get this guy into here, and once he moves in, the separate spaces within it are only if you need to move just a little bit. So you can do that.
Right, you could spend a cart to move that white statue into the third space of the tile.
To do that.
That would cost 1 because
Right.
you're moving it within a tile.
Right,
but it also costs
1 to go all the way to here.
Right.
So you wouldn't necessarily need to do that.
Right.
Unless you had this situation. Then I would use 1 to plop it up onto there. But we don't have that situation. So, but I showed you it anyways. Mm-hmm. It's probably like information overkill, but it's really not that hard. We're just trying to be thorough.
So how many carts would you have to spend to get that white statue to the altar?
Okay, so he's here. I need 1, 2 to get him into the room, and when I move him into the room, I can put him on any space in here.
Yep.
So boom,
so that's
right into there.
2, and those 2 carts have to be what?
White or wild.
Exactly. So currently Mickey does not have any of those.
I don't have any, but if we pretended that I did, I would give 2 carts to the supply, and I would go 1, 2, put it on the altar.
Yep. So how many carts would it take to move the ice one to the... I was thinking, how many licks would it take to get to the center
of the Tootsie Pop?
How many carts would it take to get the blue statue to the blue altar?
All right, the blue guy starts here. So 1, 2. Remember, Jeb said that sticking out counts as its own total. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 carts to get all that. It is for not actually in the grand scheme of things. For actually not that many points, I'd be better off building a tunnel over to this guy and then plopping him on it, or even waiting and not even putting a pedestal there and hoping that I could get something up higher. Right. That's strategic talk, but anyway, so let's say I gave Jeb 5 carts, and I'm going to say 3 of them were wild carts, and I had 2 blue ones on trolls. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I plop it in there, and then he is on that pedestal for end game victory points.
Yep. So that's pretty much most of the mechanics.
Yeah, it is.
We've gone through everything. All that happens after you move carts or move statues, if you choose not to, you don't have to.
Right.
But that's the last thing on your turn. So once your turn ends, it's the next player, and they do those 4 steps and so on until somebody hits the game end trigger.
Talk about the game end triggers, Jeb.
All right. So say Mickey,
I've been building away.
He's been building.
I mean, recruiting away.
Yeah.
And I recruited that guy, and I recruited that guy, and I recruited that guy, and I'm the very first one to recruit that
ding,
top
ding,
truck.
ding, ding,
Ding, ding, ding, winner, chicken dinner.
Yep, so he would do the normal thing of filling in his troll smoot with all the supplies he generated. But in addition to that, once you build the 10th one, or once you recruit the 10th one, you get...
the first, what are these called?
Coronation tokens.
I get the first coronation token into my area for victory points.
Yep. And then when the second player
does this,
the exact same thing, they get
the 3-pointer. Jeb, you're a loser. You get 3 points.
Thank you. And once the second one is taken, now the game end trigger happens. So the first thing that happens is the current round finishes.
Right.
So if Mickey was first player and he took the 3 spot, or if he's the second one to do it, then everybody else would get a turn and then the round ends. However, if it was me and I was the last player and I took it, then that means the round's ending at the end of my turn.
Yep.
So once that round is completed, everybody gets 2 turns.
2 more rounds.
2 rounds happen before the game is actually over.
Yep, and nothing else changes.
Yep.
You play the game for 2 more rounds, and then that's it. So just remember, when the second coronation token gets taken, that's the trigger for end game.
Yep.
So
finish the round, get 2 more
rounds. Right. So when I was talking earlier about getting a coronation token triggering end game, it's not total trigger, but it's pay attention. Pay attention trigger. So, and then at the end, you just go through scoring, which I think Jeb's going to talk about real quick.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. So the first thing is look at where you are on the track, because you gain points during the game by building tunnels.
So I moved all the way up to 68.
All right.
That's where I was ended.
All right, so scoring for Mickey. The first thing you do is check your coronation tokens.
I was the first one. I got 5, so I'd move up 5 more.
All right, you check your pedestal points.
I only took 1 pedestal, and I only got a crappy 1 for it.
All right, you will look at your leftover resources. That includes what's on the trolls and what's in your storage. You are going to group them by group. For every 3 resource you have, you get 1 point.
I got 3 of these, so I get 1 point. I have, oh crap, I have 2 of these, but I don't have any more. Is there an exchange system in this game, Jeb?
Actually, there is, and it's kind of important because you can do it at any point on your turn, and then also at this point of the final scoring.
Right. Remember, we did not talk about this earlier, and this is, you are, like Jeb just said, any time during your turn you can do this.
Yep. So the base exchange, I guess, or the generic exchange, 4 of any resources can get you 1 of a resource.
Right. So I have 4 left.
Oh, and that's a good mix, huh?
So that could give me a gold.
1 gold
and
point?
I could get another victory point. And maybe that was just enough to beat me. And I can't be clear enough on this. It's 4 of anything for 1 of anything. This game does not have a, well, you can't use that for coin exchange, and you can't use that for a mineral exchange or anything like that.
The only specific things are on workshops. They will say what can be
exchanged for a workshop function. And the only reason I point out minerals once in a while is the only distinction in the minerals is that's how you pay for tunnels.
Yep.
Unless a spell changes that condition, spells always have to be minerals.
All right, so once you score for your leftover resources, you're going to look at your Great Halls. So
my Great Hall has a statue, Joe!
Well, if it didn't have a statue in it,
I get a big fat 0.
Yep. Well, that's only because that's the smallest one. The larger ones do have other score values.
So like this guy, just for building the hall, you would get 2 victory points. However, if you do put a statue on the altar, you'd get 8 instead. Yep. So there's a significant difference for putting a statue on the altar.
All right. So Mickey, however, has a statue on the altar.
Woo! 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And there's one other condition that could occur. Mickey, if that statue was not on the pedestal but still in your hall, you score 0 points, and that statue is worthless. It won't score anything.
No.
Yeah, so don't do that. Always keep it, try to get it to your altar. So, but Mickey did it. He got it on the altar. We'll make him happy.
Honestly, as far as, unless we read something wrong, the only way that happens is if you unearth the statue and it doesn't end up on this.
Right.
Because if you move it in, you're not going to just stick it in a blank spot.
Right.
So
it's all about unearthing.
Right.
Or if somebody used a spell.
To mess with you.
Yep. All right. So once you've done all of your Great Halls, the last thing is checking your statues. So look for all your unearthed statues that are in your network.
So this guy's unearthed. That's a good example.
That one.
This guy's unearthed, but we already did him because he's in a hall. That's all he gets.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's unearthed, and he's on a pedestal. Does that matter, Jim?
Yes, it does. So on your player card, there's 2 rows. There's a row for statues, and there's one for statues on pedestal. So you will look at what you're going to score. So that's a statue on a pedestal, and you look at which area in the mountain.
I'm in the dark gray.
So dark gray is worth 4 victory points.
4. Wait, but what if it wasn't on a pedestal? Oh,
2.
it only beat half of that, Jeb?
Yep.
Holy crap. Oh, wait, hey, I got a white one.
All right, don't forget to move
I
up to 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, so the white one, it is not on a pedestal. So we look at the top row.
But it's in the light gray.
And light gray scores you 4 points.
4. Oh, if it was on a pedestal, I would have got 8.
Yep.
All right, 1, 2. That's not a. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right.
And then just like for thinking about it, like just unearthing that and leaving it there is worth the same as Mickey doing that
all that
pedestal
work to
and
do
moving
that.
it.
Yeah. So.
Yep. And then everybody's going to do that, and whoever has the most victory points is the.
Is there a tiebreaker?
Leader of the mountain. In the event of a tie, tied players add up the levels of the trolls they've recruited. The tied player with the lower total wins. If you're able to get a tied score
or with just level 1 trolls, you're a master.
So that's everything for the rules and
mechanics,
how to play.
Yeah.
So we will be back with a 3-player game, and it's going to be me, Mickey, and Gary.
Right. And so again, like I always say, if stuff that we did here doesn't make sense because it was too crowded or too, we put the game set up, as it would play, and watch 10 minutes, and you probably get a good feel for it.
And we have it so that you can actually see everything.
Right.
So
That's what I mean. Yeah. All right. So we'll be back in just a few with a 3-player game.